crazy because intimate to us is still, like 700 to 1,200 people.
Not intimate.
It's not intimate. Imagine in 2015 through like 2017, if I had Snow Allegra, Sir, Bryson Tiller, Brent Faiyaz, Daniel Caesar, because I found them super early. Even Anderson .Paak, we booked them on shows before they were even anybody. And imagine though if I had did an EP back then with them, because we all know who they are now.
Yeah.
Like, it would be fire.
That would have aged like one.
I'm a very honest and raw person, so I love being matched by that, and also by people who are more successful than me, have more money, and have the blueprint and have the resources and tools. And that's the type of people I want to surround myself with. So it's a moment, you know what I mean? And I just want people to be like, damn, Joe's putting out his project before me. Like, I need to go drop my project already. Like, what am I doing? Stop playing.
Foot on next is the message he said.
What up, world? Joe K tapping in. I got my new EP, If Not Now Then When, out now. Feeling you now, focus, babe. Pulling you close will make you, baby. What's up, Nyla? We need to talk.
What's going on, guys? Nyla Symone here with another episode of We Need to Talk. And today I have a very special guest in the building. We got Joe K here.
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Grateful. Blessed.
I see. This is a great outfit, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Very well put together. Tell me where you get these pants from.
These are from a Filipino brand called Fortune. I got them in Tokyo, but from the Philippines, and it was at like one of my favorite shops out there. But yeah, that's like the layers and stuff like that. The
two-tone pattern is crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
What? I'm totally trying to steal that at your closet. Okay. The humble flex of I just got these in Tokyo. Man, how does it feel? You are celebrating 14 years of Soulection. I went to your damn near sold out show at Knockdown Center, which is phenomenal. That's a huge venue. And the energy was crazy. Guys, that was my first time ever experiencing it. Definitely a 10 out of 10. But talk to me about just how does it feel to be this far?
Yeah, well, first, that was a great representation of Soulection to go to because of the production there. It was high level, the lighting. We had the crowd behind us, and people came ready from the jump. But, yeah, to still be doing shows 14 years in with no lineup announcement and to sell them out, you know what I mean? Originally, we had did Brooklyn Still, which was a Saturday show. It sold out so quick, so we added the Knockdown, right?
Okay.
And that was a bonus, and that ended up being over 3,000 people. So altogether, we did over 4,000 tickets off the strength of just the brand. And just, it's not about me. It's not about any name in particular. It's literally about it's the trust in the music and the trust in the brand and the celebration of it. So to me, any business that, anyone that has a business that lasts more than a year or two is a blessing. In today's days, you open up a restaurant, you can keep that thing open for a year or two, you've done something, but it's difficult. It's difficult to be this far in and to still be relevant, to still be trusted, to still be, have a great community of people worldwide and people that believe and trust in us. So, yeah, I just feel thankful. Every year that we make it, it's always a celebration. That's why we always do anniversary shows and things around the anniversary, because it's like, man, we made it another year, and it's not easy.
Yeah. I totally commend you guys. And I will say, I think it's super dope that people are coming out based off the name, because I was definitely looking for the lineup, like, who's spinning tonight? But then when I got there, I was just happy to see the people that you guys did have spinning.
Right.
Like, super wasn't expecting to see Jules. I know he's, like, London. So
yeah.
I think that's just something that everybody appreciates is the curation. What went into the curation for the 14th anniversary? Anything in particular?
Well, so what went into that is, people associate the OGs and, like, the hitters, right? You think about, like, the Sangos or, certain artists that have been the face of Soulection over the years. And for me, we had just a lot of team meetings about it, and we just want to use the opportunity to give other people a chance. Now, with the exception of someone like Jules, it was just a rare alignment that he would happen to be in New York, and he saw the schedule, and he's like, man, I would love to play. And that's my guy, and he's one of the biggest in, the Afrobeats diaspora and sound. So anytime we can get him on, he actually played with me in Cape Town on the same vibe. He happened to be in town. So anytime he's one of my favorite producers overall, and it was just really dope to just bring him into our world. And there's actually a single. He actually put out a release with Sango back in 2020, and so there is a synergy there. You know what I mean? That he's like extended family, and yeah. But we just wanted to use that opportunity to put on other local talent, other producers, other DJs, and to me, I feel like that is the essence of what and the ethos of what Soulection is putting people on that necessarily don't maybe have an opportunity. You know what I mean? Because we've always been so self-sufficient with our internal team and roster that we would never really book anybody else outside of our crew.
Right.
You know what I mean? But as time has gone on, it's like, who is the next K Tronada? Who is the next, Sango? Who's the next Joe K, right? Who you got to find these people, you know what I mean? And you got to give them a shot because everybody, including myself, we're already established and we've already done that. So it's like, who else can we give an opportunity to? So that was a lot of basis. That was like the root of how we approached these shows and what we've been doing. We've been opening up the gates a lot for people to get opportunities.
Love that. That is definitely what it's all about. Super, super salute you to that. For the 15th year, that's a big number. That is a milestone. Are we going to get an OG show? Do you see an OG show happening?
It's crazy you say that because I haven't even brought it up to the team. I only brought it up to one of my other guys. We spoke about it, and I had an idea of doing something like that where we did for the 15 year, for sure, like specifically in LA, we go back to maybe like 2 or 3 venues that we came up at, like from the beginning of time.
Intimate.
And yeah, well, so, I mean, it's crazy because intimate to us is still, like 700 to 1,200 people.
Not intimate.
It's not intimate. But it would be at some of the roots of where we came from, like our residencies. We used to do a residency for years in different venues in LA as we started growing. We did residencies for a good, I don't know, man. It must have been like 3-4 years. And then we started just traveling so much that we stopped doing it. But yeah, we spoke about bringing back some of the OGs and the alumni that used to, that were at one point like with us everywhere we did. So bringing them back, doing different venues, and just taking people back through those spaces. So we did speak about that. But yeah, we have been, as we're in the present, and it's always about the sound of tomorrow, we have been reminiscing and thinking about just some of the artists and producers and DJs that have been part of the legacy. And, you do a lot of memory, deep soul searching, and you're like, man, I remember that time, or like, how is this person doing? What are they up to? Everyone's, thriving or doing their own thing in their careers. People have gone on to focus on self. And so we're supportive of everybody, but it would be good to kind of have, like you said, a bit of a full circle moment for the 15 year. We have some big plans for that.
Love that. Yeah, it would be dope. Also, just for the people who are new, like to learn and like see. Like I would love to experience what it was like early on,
right?
Versus like me coming in now.
Yeah.
But that's just because.
No, I don't blame you. I think about that all the time. I mean, look, people who missed the SoundCloud golden era. I'm talking about when it was like, again, if people are new, then these names might sound, unfamiliar. Be like, okay, I don't know who this is. But when you think about SoundCloud, it was like K Tronada, it was Sango, Mr. Carmack, Sam Gallatry, Monty Booker, and a couple others, right? And Esta. And these people were like the face of the beat scene, of beat makers and people before anyone. So it was amazing to be a part of that and to be the core of the community of bringing everyone together. And if you'd be like hearing an upload on SoundCloud that day, and literally the next night we were playing that record and we were able to announce tours and shows just off of one record, and we would repost the song. It would get like 150,000 plays in one night, and like changes people's careers.
Right.
We were announcing literal European tours off of one edit or song. It was such a golden era time, and it was such a new sound, and people were able to experience that. Now it's like you hear it. We've been doing it for so long, and people have gone on to do their own versions of what we've done, and the sound has just progressed. So it's like we've been used to it, right? But when it first came out, and you were part of that Future Beats type community, that SoundCloud producer DJ world, it was so fresh and new that it was like what I imagined. The golden era. Like I was alive during the golden era of hip hop and R&B. Like, but we were like, well, when I think golden era, I'm thinking like classic hip hop. You know, I'm thinking like Tribe Called Quest, like Busta Rhymes. I'm also thinking like, you know, even an R&B or soul, neo soul music. I'm thinking Erykah Badu.
Right.
But I'm also thinking like DMX. I mean, I grew up listening to all these people, Nas, Jay, right? But I was so young and I wasn't able to go to the club or wasn't able to go to these spaces.
Right.
So I wasn't able to experience that on a grown level. And this was our version of it, you know. So if people missed it, it sucks because we can talk about it all day, but you had to be there at moments, like, you know what I mean. So there's a lot of people that are just barely showing up to the shows, and it's cool. Like you find Soulection when you deserve, you know what I mean. So there's no shade on that, but the ones that been locked in from the jump, it's like they know exactly what that meant, you know what I mean, and how special to be a part of that. So that's something that we'll always carry. But yeah, and that's why we just try to carry on the legacy of just being true to the sound and always finding the next sound and artist, you know what I mean. That's really the MO that it's about.
Brick by brick. I love it. Talk to me about, because as you said about like changing people's lives and, you know, kind of just being a blueprint for breaking artists like this way. I want to ask you about like having the impact but not necessarily having the recognition, you know, because it is something that's new, you know, like this collective being able to have that type of power. Like, how do you get that in that space, that recognition? Or
I think just consistency.
Or are you looking for it, actually?
You mean in the present time, or you're talking about
then,
from the past and from then?
Then and now, I guess.
Then, yeah, I always felt slept on. I still feel like we're slept on. You know, I mean, I feel like that's why we're doing this project now with, you know, if not now, then when, because a lot of it was putting so many other people on and people not really understanding, like, what is Soulection? What is, I understand it's DJs, producers, but I just think the sounds are always so ahead of their time by, like, a lot of the times on average 2 to 5 years, you know. The reality is I've always found artists and sounds so early that it kind of flies over people's heads, at least the general the general public. But for the deep heads and for true music lovers, they get it right away. So that's why we've always had our core worldwide global community of people from all over that just sonically get what we're doing. But you have to travel to other parts, and sometimes people locally back home have to see us. Once they saw us popping in Europe and traveling and touring there, then it's like when we came back home, then it's like, oh, okay, like I need to start paying attention. That's how it works with a lot of artists, you know what I mean? You remember like Jimi Hendrix was talking about that. Like it wasn't until he went overseas and started playing like in the UK and playing in London. Then when he came back home, it was a big deal, you know what I mean? And I think he did like Woodstock and all these things. It was a different type of synergy, you know? Same thing, Bob Marley had to leave Jamaica and had to go tour Europe. And when he came back, it was the biggest thing, you know what I mean, coming back home. So I think that effect is a real psychological thing. And I think at the end of the day, we always believed in ourselves. I always did. And I just always, no matter what, whether I had 20 listeners or I had thousands, I was always going to be doing the sounds that I love. Because I was definitely the outcast early on. Like, why? This music is weird. It's instrumental. Where's the lyrics? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of beat music, a lot of instrumental music. And so, yes, I would play classics and things like that, but I was leaning into the left field and just really going towards that. So, yeah, I feel like that was a big part of it, and consistency. Every radio show, every event, every drop, every post, everything was so consistent that you add years and years of that, eventually there's going to be a crowd.
Can't ignore it.
Yeah.
I was listening to your interview on Apple Music, and I definitely identified with you in the, not that I felt like I was an outcast per se, but like just being a nerd for music, like online, like having old ass songs on repeat, driving my brother and my cousins crazy. So I admire that. I love music lovers. Okay, but I do want to talk about how mashup culture has grown to become so popular now. You guys have been doing mashups for such a long time. But now that it's like oversaturated, does it bother you at all? Are you happy about it? Do you feel like it's ruining like the culture in any way? Because I'm not gonna lie, to the point where mashups are now popular, that people just mashing up anything. It don't even be sounding good personally to me. But what is your take on it?
Yeah, man, don't get me in trouble by the DJ community and the people. Nah, there's no shade. Look, we all came up, but yeah, there is an oversaturation of it. And the reason behind that is because stems came out, right? As we all know, and for those who don't know.
By the way, love stems, not personally.
No, I love stems. It's changed the game. I mean, even just for the ones that be doing it, like, that really do this on a serious level, it's so helpful. It's changed the game. But now anyone could do it, and now you just have an oversaturation, as you said, of it. And yeah, I do think it's tough right now. That's why I said, people ask me, like, man, how do we stand out? How do we take this further? And I do feel people are just doing anything. It doesn't feel intentional. Or I feel like, you know what it is? I feel like people are very thirsty. This doesn't go for every DJ, so don't be offended. It's just more of the truth. People are just thirsty for a viral moment. People are just addicted to that feeling of, like, oh, I want to, if they have one moment, and doesn't mean you and I have to like it, but someone out there thought it was cool. And I just think I see people trying to chase that high. You know what I mean? They're trying to chase that feeling of just throwing things together. And it's not to take away that people don't love music and they genuinely don't enjoy putting that together, but I'm very particular about sound, and you can tell who's doing it for the right reasons and who isn't. And that's the culture that I'm not a fan of. It's like those who are just doing it for the look. They're not DJing. They just started DJing on the controller a couple of months ago, and then they went viral on TikTok or something like that. No shade. Happy for you. But DJing is so much more than that. It's more than just blending and coming up with some random edit. You know what I mean? And so I think, I think we're going to just continue on seeing this, but I think the ones that are going to stand out and really about it, we'll be able to see just based off who's really about it with their music, how they present themselves, what kind of shows and things do they align themselves with, what kind of music are they playing. We don't need to hear, I don't need to hear like a Sexy Red track over I'm a Piano track, just respectfully. You know what I mean? People just be throwing anything over anything. You know what I mean? I don't need to hear an indie alternative band over a trap song, just being honest. Now, some people may disagree, but that's just my opinion, and I'll say that this is my personal thought. So this isn't my universal thought process on, like, this is how it should be. I'm just saying, just let things be. Don't need to force anything. And the things that do go well, I think, have longevity. That's why I like a lot of the Sade, Cleo Sol, because let's be solution based here, right? Let me just not sound like a hater. The Cleo Sols, Brent Faiyaz's, Sade's, Erykah Badu's, you know what I mean? Like, people who have, like, sultry, timeless voices. Yep. Like, that's what people love hearing over the right records, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm a fan of personally, right? Or certain samples mixed with other classics. I love things that are done tastefully. I don't mind people taking chances, but I just don't like shit when it sounds forced. Yeah. And when it just sounds cringy, of just like, bro, what are we doing here? Are you looking for attention? You know? And so yeah, I agree with you. It is annoying. I've talked about it with the crew. We all feel the same way, but we just let people rock. At the end of the day, it ain't affecting my money or ain't affecting how I move. So if that's what makes people happy, cool. You know, do your thing.
Well said. You know, some people, word on the curb, say you're a music snob. You know, how do you feel about that? Is that an insult to you, or do you wear that as a badge of honor?
I wonder who said that, but that's actually, that's true. I think we all are. If you love music, if you listen to everyone that listens to Soulection is a music snob. Because you have a high level IQ. But yeah, but let's clear the air on that. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm superior. I just have high expectations and high level tastes, you know. And even the music that I love is not for everybody, you know. What I like, there's people who like hearing other things that don't associate with what I listen to or what I play. So yeah, but I'm actually pretty mild compared to other people that I know of, or I don't even, like, the stuff you're asking me is stuff I think and I talk about, but I would never speak about a lot of this stuff out. Like, I choose my battles. You're not going out of your way it's not worth it. Like, I don't have a personal podcast or anything where I need to, like, speak about certain things. I just let the music talk. Like, what I'm playing is what I love, point blank. What you see me play is what I love. I don't got to talk about what I don't like. You know what I mean? That goes the same thing for people that don't like Soulection. It's like, okay, you want to be vocal about what you don't like about it or this, but it's like, we're not gonna like everything. And
Yep.
well, why do people feel the need to be outspoken about it? Like, go out on Twitter or go out on socials and just be rambling, gossiping and stuff like that. I could be using that energy in so many other places, like on my music, ideas, new things. Like, I'm not here to talk about other people's and critique people. But if I'm asked a question, I'll answer if you ask me for my opinion. But I'm not about to just wake up and just start like creating havoc and just tearing down someone's art or work. I've done that before, and it came from the right place, but it wasn't expressed in the right way. So I've taken my L's on that on socials, where I've been almost too, on my Kanye, just overly opinionated vibes, like in some degree early on in my younger days, and it didn't pan out, and I had to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Where people kind of have that still, they associate me with what I once said 10 years ago, and they'll always remember that. You know what I mean? And so to me, it's like, is it really worth it?
Right.
Like, you feel better letting it out? Like, talk to your homie or talk to a therapist or something. Like, let it out. Keep that to yourself. Keep it in the drafts,
Yeah.
So.
Salute to you for that growth and evolution. Some people never learn.
Right.
But also not mad at a Kanye moment,
It depends. All I'll say is, like, a lot of things weren't cool. I wasn't getting, and I love Kanye, but there's just some things, like, you can't. There's just someone got to take the phone away, or someone got to have a bit of control. But there was some disrespectful things that were said, and that's why I feel like at a certain point, someone could only get so many chances before you're like, that's it, it's cooked, So even for me, like, personally, I'm not playing really any more Kanye music in my sets, at least for a while, because I'm just like, man, I don't really get down with some of the things he said.
I'm tired.
Recently. Yeah, I'm tired. There's only so much protection and stick-ups you can do. We try to separate the music from the person a lot of times, and I think that's what we all do because we love the music.
Right.
But at a certain point, the music is attached, and even though that music was made way before this person started out on certain things, I do feel like that's still them, and so it's hard to play music in current time if we know a certain person that's how they feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, with all due respect, he's still an icon, still made timeless music, and is always be a part of the culture, so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Joe K. Enough about Soulection. You're finally dropping a project.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it take so long for you to drop a project?
Truthfully, shout out to my management. Shout out PK and Ty of Culture. That was a partnership that came about, a little bit over a year ago. And I have such a strong team. And, you've asked me some really good questions today, but a lot of the integrity of what I do has always been about, well, I'm around real shooters and around real hitters that really be in the lab making music.
Talk about it.
For real, I'm surrounded by so many great artists and producers and writers, and I've been in this, for a while. So it's just like being around that. It's hard for me. It was hard for me to be like, let me put out my body of work, because I don't produce. You know what I mean? I'm more on the executive producer side. You know what I mean? So that's what I want the world to know is this isn't. There's artistry in what I do as a curator, being able to bring sounds together, being able to bring people together, knowing which artist would sound good. That there's an art to that, right? There's a reason why Khaled or different people, right, like, are able to do what they do, right, and still get the taste making side and still be respected, because there's also a marketing side to it. There's just an IQ of just knowing what records work and what people want to hear. So because of the producer and the live instrumentation and the programming, I didn't want to feel like I was disrespecting the culture and I was disrespecting my people that really be making the music. So it was hard for me, and every time the conversation came up over the years, I personally was on the fence, and I was like, yeah, maybe one day, yeah, soon, I'm down. And that's really why, if not now, then when came about, because it's like I'm gonna keep saying this. Here I am, year 14, or at the time, year 12 or 13, as these ideas started speculating and becoming a reality of like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But it's like constantly trying to find the perfect mix, the perfect output of something, right? We're all perfectionists and overly perfectionists to a point that the project never comes out or the idea never comes out, whatever that is, right? And so, yeah, it came down to a conversation, and like that's why we talk about, PK and I were speaking about what separates a great artist from another amazing artist, but maybe doesn't have as much success. And a lot of that, other than being, blessed by God and just making the right records and being blessed on that side, is having good management. And so it's like a coach, right? And so I consider myself a great student. Like I'm very coachable, and they were able to just talk to me and get in my head about like you got to change your psychology and approach to this, and you have been doing this. It's no different from, imagine in 2015 through like 2017, if I had like Snow Allegra, Sir, Bryson Tiller, Brent Faiyaz, Daniel Caesar, because I found them super early, even Anderson .Paak. Like, I'm not saying that I discovered them, but I was one of the first ones to play them and push them out. We booked them on shows before they were even anybody really, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they obviously did the work, but I'm saying we recognized them super early. And imagine though if I had did an EP back then with them, because we all know who they are now.
Yeah.
Like, it would be fire.
That would have aged
so,
like one.
And it makes sense. So this is more of an approach. It's a collaboration. It's more of like Joe K. It's like the radio show. I'm highlighting every episode certain producers and artists. Like, yo, you need to know about this artist, this track. It's like a playlist, except it's a body of music attached to my name, and it's the first time that Joe K. as an artist is presenting these people with them as features and with other producers. So it's very collaborative, and I just think with my marketing and the way I present myself and the way we brand Soulection, it's a perfect mix of bringing all worlds together and pushing out in an original way. So that's what it came about. I feel like I've conquered a lot of hills. This is one of the few that I haven't done yet. So I think this is going to change everything. And most importantly, giving the flowers and giving the credit back to the newer artists that we're championing. So we have trajectory for these people that we have on this project. And then also having someone like a DMile, right? DMile being a 4-time Grammy winner, you know what I mean? The biggest name in R&B and soul music right now, right? And pop as well. I mean, we're talking about Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic. He just put out another number one with Bruno and Lady Gaga, Victoria Monet, Lucky Day, and so many other legends. And I mean, it's just a blessing to have someone like a classic producer as the lead single, and he has 2 records on the project, and then to have someone like Isaiah Falls out of Orlando, that's like a thriving upcoming R&B artist that's killing it, and then Cruiser, who's a fire band, R&B, soul, indie, and that's what Soulection is about. It's like we bring a classic producer, a legend, and then bring them with 2 new artists, and I think that's a good setup. And then you have me in the mix, and then you also have Soulection pushing it and marketing it. So, and then we have culture on the business side, and we have our team. Like, it's like the best of all worlds, and we're still indie, we're still independent, and that's the best thing about it.
Love that. I think it's a very strong start. Big fan of Cruiser, also a big fan of Isaiah. And okay, I really like this mention of important strong management and working with Ty and culture, because Ty is definitely a trailblazer as far as like indie and just changing the narrative. What has it been like working with them? Because I know within building Soulection, it's really been, I mean, I know you have a team, but it's like your vision, your baby, and you built it brick by brick. So to finally have a point where you have somebody who sees what you're doing and is able to help build you, like, just talk to me about what have you learned? What are some adjustments that you're making now that you're in this space? And, what's in store?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that. As mentioned, management is everything. I mean, I couldn't do this by myself, no matter how multifaceted. I mean, the burnout is real, especially at this 14 years in. And we're only getting busier, right? Every year the career has elevated, and so you need a real team. But working with culture has been an amazing experience. I mean, I've always, especially like I just met PK. PK has had an impact in 1 year. You know what I mean? More than people that I've had on the team over time that may or may not be around. This guy has had an impact in 1 year more than people had in 5, 10 years. So it's for me, like I learned from my dad, it's really about, it's not about how much time you spend on something, but it's what you did in that time that counts. So you can spend hours or all day on something, still not get anything done, or still get, like you didn't have a productive day or a year, or a lifetime or a career, but it's about like how impactful you are in that time that you're around. So I'm thankful to have people around me that are punctual, show up every day. There's no excuses. There's no envy. There's no nothing. And if there's any constructive criticism, it's for the better good. And I love that. It's like if I'm doing something wrong, let me know. And so we have all like just honest communication, transparency, and that's how I get down. I'm a very honest and raw person, so I love being matched by that, and also by people who are more successful than me, have more money, and have the blueprint and have the resources and tools. And that's the type of people I want to surround myself with. So Ty specifically, out of culture, he's like definitely like you said, someone has such a unique and indie and business mindset and artist first mindset, and that's what made this so easy to do. And we've known culture since like 2016, 2017, because when Ty found Brent Faiyaz and when Sonder came about, for people who don't know, Sonder, the two producers, D-Pat and R2, put out music through Soulection. Like we were working with them because we've always been about the producers. You know what I mean? And they were early like Soulection family. So R2, D-Pat found Brent Faiyaz, right? And then they started developing and working together. And at that time, I believe Ty was already working with Brent. And so when those all came together, it was just like the perfect situation. They just needed a team, and culture came in and did what they did and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business for them. And you know what I mean? Created generational wealth. So what I love about them is they know how to scale a business and they know how to scale a record label. And I feel like although Soulection has always been great at finding music and being early and doing cultural amazing things, there's infrastructure and business, even business literacy, financial literacy that we lacked. And so because what the issue is on Soulection, you have a bunch of creatives trying to run a full-time business, but we didn't really have full-time business people going up to bat for us. The way I wake up and I'm worried about the next event, show, or what record I'm going to play, or the radio show, we need people like that thinking about the business and how to turn it up, right? And so that's what we were missing for all these years. I mean, we got by and we did have some business people involved, but nothing like this. And so it's just been a great experience. I've learned so much, and I love working with them. They have such a great team. And I could say it's probably the most prime and organized we've ever been as a business and as a team. So we have respect. We show up on time to our meetings. We have multiple meetings a week. You know what I mean? Video calls, everyone's on time. Everyone's punctual. Everyone's writing in the agenda. Everyone's speaking. Everyone's on the video screen, like looking at each other. It's respect. You know what I mean? And like I couldn't ask for a better thing. You know what I mean? That's what.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that for you guys. I'm super excited to see all that blooms from that partnership. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so talk to me about dream collabs, or have you already created like the dream record that you want collaboration wise?
Yeah. I mean, so we have plans for our 15 year. So we already have this year. So this EP, if not now, then when, is the first one. Second one, we're gonna be dropping probably like fall. So we'll have 2 projects this year under Joe K and Soulection Records and Culture, and then for the 15 year, we want to do the Soulection album. And it's hard to say who will be on it, but it's more of like, if you think about all the artists that we spoke about earlier, of people that we've helped be a part of their journey at one point or another, be super early and support them, and just think about some of the biggest names in music and R&B and soul and whatever other genre that we've been behind, those are the names that we want to be a part of this. You know what I mean? We don't really ask people for favors. We've done a lot for the community. We've done 14 years of community service, you know what I mean, to the people and to artists. And this is like our giving back, but also like, yo, we need a favor. Not even need a favor, like let's reciprocate the energy, you know what I mean? And so that's what the whole point of doing these projects first with me is to kind of, you know, organize, make sure there's a sense of order and structure, figure out what works, what doesn't, and then by the time we get to the album, we would have already have gone through all the, you know, just the kinks of what we need to get through. So by the time the album comes out next year, we have the Soulection album, and then we have the Soulection 15th anniversary celebrations, and doing those in like some core cities around the world, and doing them at a high level where we're like doing kind of like a Soulection experience, kind of like mini festival vibe. So we have the music out, we got the curated experiences celebrating that 15-year milestone, and then everything else that comes in between. And by then, my music would have already been out for over a year almost, and so then there's just a whole new audience that's coming in for that. And then also, can't forget Soulection Radio 700 episode. So that's coming up. You know, right now we're on 673 or so right now. And so we have some months to go. And that's always a milestone moment. Every century shows, every 100 episodes is always a moment because it's not easy to do those shows. And so we have 3, you know, live records, radio show, all hitting milestones.
Love that. That's a common thing for you guys, actually. I see.
Yeah.
Because the 10-year was like that too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that, man. It's really inspiring. Talk to me about. I just want to dig more into, because I said I'm new to Soulection. I'm new to Joe K, and just like, I guess, what is like your villain origin story with music? What made you fall in love with it? What's your background? What were your influences growing up within your background?
Yeah, my origins with music, I mean, I've always been surrounded by music in the house, but no one really played music, like instruments or produce or sang. But music was always played in the crib. And like I said, I brought up Sade. Erykah Badu was played a lot. Pac, like Tupac. Even things like my mom would put me onto a band, Rage Against the Machine, right? And I would just be hearing different things, you know what I mean? A bit of Latin music, a lot of house music, reggae music. So I was exposed to music early on, but it really came about when I was in high school. And I was going through just trying to find myself as a young person, maturing into life and going through some life things, family things. And all I had at the time was music. No matter if I was beefing with my parents or my mom and we weren't, in a good place as I was high school, mother, son clash sometimes, you know what I mean? And all I had was music, you know what I mean? And I was always a pretty good student. My dad had raised me really well, was very strict, but very like sense of order and structure, coached me in all my sports. So I think a lot of what Soulection is in terms of consistency and work ethic is because of my dad. My father was someone that he was my head coach in every sport that I played, football, basketball, baseball. Took me to all my lessons and my just always practicing, always just getting better and always just pushing me. He had his dad was a Marine, so he kind of had like a hybrid, even though my dad was in the military, he had like a bit of a hybrid military mindset. So he pushed me with that kind of psychology and mental strength. So when it came to Soulection, I was like, it's full circle moment is like when he was doubting me when I told him I was gonna leave my day job, you know what I mean, to pursue Soulection full time. And I had, healthcare benefits and all that stuff. At the time I had a child, I had just had my daughter. At that moment, he was like, how are you going to leave this for this? But like you have responsibilities, you know what I mean? But I had to use what he taught me and kind of show him like, man, I'm not about to give up on my vision or my dreams. So a lot of that came from him. So going back to the origins of it, just always being about the music, always being kind of by myself. I was the only child, and always just leaning on the music has always been the only thing that had my back, no matter what I was going through. It never failed me. It never crossed me. It never disrespected me. It's always been there for me. You know what I mean? It's changed my life. So that's how it really started. And then like I just always knew radio and hosting or like broadcasting was my first love. It was before DJing. So that's where my passion came from. My passion was just always, I love presenting music. People ask me, why don't you produce then? I just had more of a love for finding music and helping those artists. That was always putting people onto the artist. Like, yo, you need to know about this person. Have you heard this song? You know where this came from? Do you know the sample? That was always like, I got like a better feeling from that. And I just knew my calling really young. So it started like in high school. And then when I graduated that summer, right after I graduated, I had a very life-changing just summer, like just a very self-identity, a clarity moment, just like a moment of realization. And from that point on, I never looked back, and that's when everything changed. So I was about 17 years old when I figured that out.
Love that. Authentic, real, relatable.
Yeah.
Okay, so we played this game called Questions That Need Answers. All you have to do is fill in the blank.
Okay.
The older I get, the less
The less I care.
You would never believe me if I told you.
You would never believe if I told you. You would never believe if I told you. I'm one of the funniest people.
Can we confirm? Not everybody in unison.
I'm a clown.
Okay, what's your sign?
I'm a Libra.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do it today.
I have a unique sense of like I can't just be funny on camera right now, but it has to just come out. But I just be, if you know me, it's one of them things that unlocks.
Okay.
If I know you and I'm comfortable, but like I'm really a clown.
Okay. Sometimes I look back at my life and.
Sometimes I look back at my life, and I'm just grateful. I mean, I'm blessed. Legacy.
From time to time, it is good to
Pray.
Jay-Z is
Timeless.
the hardest lesson I learned about fame is.
The hardest lesson I learned about fame is, I mean, it's crazy, right? Because there's different levels of fame, and I wouldn't even consider where I'm at like a true like famous position or role. But I do go out and I am recognized at places, or sometimes I think the hardest thing I've learned about fame is privacy and courtesy. A lot of people lack that. They can't read the room, or people are worried about their social media moment versus giving you that time to like let you be. I know that was not one word, but privacy.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't have to be one word, by the way.
Got it.
Blank is a movie I can watch with the sound off.
Stanley Kubrick, 2001 Space Odyssey, or another one would be Bally by Hype Williams and DMX and Nas.
Love that. My favorite album of all time is.
Oh, that's always the toughest one. I can't even answer that. There's just too many.
Oh.
Yeah.
Give me three. Give me three.
We spoke about a couple earlier.
Sade.
I mean, yeah, even that, right? It's tough because there's like multiple projects in the catalog. But even if I'm thinking about, because we spoke about this earlier. Well, a big album for me at a certain point in my life was NERD, In Search Of. That was a big project for me that I really resonated with in like high school, and that was very influential. Slum Village, which project was it? Why am I blanking out on the name? But the joints that had like players, it was just such a like pivotal moment for Jay Dilla as a production and as an MC. But like Dilla's sound, that he's just like the GOAT. You know what I mean? To everything. He's like the reason why one of the main reasons I started Soulection. So anything that has a Dilla production, early JD, You know what I mean? And then I'll go to present time, an album that I'm listening to right now that in this day and age, our attention span is so short and music, passes. But we're exposed to so much music, oversaturation of music coming out in the world because of how technology and streaming is now. Before we had to go buy the CD or buy the album, like one project at a time. Now it's like we have millions of records in the palm of our hand in seconds. But one album that I'm listening to right now that has had a lifespan since it came out and it's been months and months is Leon Thomas, the Mutt album. I gotta say the album because when I say Mutt, people are like, that's how I know people aren't listening, because you say Mutt, they're like, but you're just listening to the single. No, I'm talking about the album, the whole album from start to finish. Like, it's a really good album. I was actually really like happy that I was able to play at his release party and just kind of like be part of the early like listenership of it. And there's really no bias there at all. But I just really think it's hard to come across projects that we still listen to over and over. Especially as a DJ, we move on so fast. So, yeah, I just want to give him his flowers. But in terms of something I can't stop listening to.
Okay, my last question is, by the end of 2025, I plan to blank.
By the end of 2025, by then, 700 radio shows would be completed. 2 bodies of work under my name will have been out. And I just plan to be in a more elevated space. A more sense of direction, clarity, and by then I'm just really excited for what's to come, because the trajectory right now is incredible, and we're just really getting started. It's like the best thing I could say is it took 14 years to get here, and I'm not talking about just putting out music, just like to get to this point. That's what I want people to know, because I said the other day, but it's like 14 years on paper, but it's really been like 17 to 20 years of this. So people only see that. Or again, if you just found us, you pull up to the show at Knockdown, you see what you see. It looks incredible, but it did not happen overnight. So by the end of 2025, I'm grateful to be answering 15 years. And that's a big milestone, So we plan to take all the work that we've done and just elevate it 10x, 20x, So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to shout out before we wrap?
No, I mean, just thank you. Thank you for great questions, by the way. Thanks. You approached it very, very natural. I always, from host to host, it's nice to be on the opposite side. So it's good to just see your format and how natural you go about things. But no, I mean, look, the reason I'm here is to really, push and talk about this new rollout and sense of direction that I'm going. And again, we have a single out, and I really believe in this body of work. I think it's like, even though it took 14 years, I think the timing couldn't have been any better. Like, if not now, then when? Even if you just see that on a wall, you don't have to know who I am. You don't even have to listen to the music. But if you can just read that message, that resonates with everyone in life, and not even just in music. It can be anything. And so to me, that's a win. Someone's seen that message. That's why I chose the title. I wanted something to be relatable, that people can walk away with, whether you listen to it or not, or whether you know my journey and Soulection's journey or not. You see that, you're like, wait, damn, I need to do that thing I've been talking about. Like, it's just another reminder. So that's why I chose that title. The single Slow It Down and the other artists that I have a part of it and the music. This is just the beginning, but long overdue. And it's a moment, you know what I mean? And I just want people to be like, damn, Joe's putting out his project before me. Like, I need to go drop my project already. Like, what am I doing? Stop playing. And so that's really what the message is, stop dimming your light.
I love that. Foot on next is the message he said.
True.
Thank you for stopping by. Just shout out your gram. Let everybody know where they can follow you if they don't already.
Yeah, at Joe K on everything. And you can follow Soulection as well. And yeah, let's tap in. Come out to a show. If you've never been, I promise it'll be one of the best experiences, because it's not really a safe space where you can listen to a lot of music that you may listen to at home or in your headphones or in the car, and actually hear that in a place with hundreds or thousands of people that are on the same frequency and just share that space. So I welcome you to that.
Until next time, guys. Talk soon. Peace.